Welcome everyone to this new video of microwave engineering. Today in this video we are going to study mode analysis of the rectangular waveguide. So in the last video we saw what is the geometry of rectangular waveguide and what is the general direction of propagation which is conventionally assumed along the z-axis for the rectangular waveguide. So before studying the analysis, first of all, what are the waveguide modes? So in the waveguide, electromagnetic waves can travel along a different patterns. These all the patterns are called as modes. That means some waves may or some components of a wave may travel in perpendicular direction, some components of a wave may travel in horizontal direction, that is along the direction of propagation of actual wave. So these, depending on these components, there are different modes defined for the traveling of electromagnetic waves. Waveguide supports only two types of modes, that is TE mode, transverse electric mode, and TM mode, transverse magnetic mode. So what is TE mode? In the TE mode, if we assume a waveguide, let's say these are the three axes X, Y and Z, wave is traveling along the Z direction. So in the TE mode, that is transverse electric field component of this particular wave is perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So which are the sides perpendicular to the Z direction? Those are X and Y. That means electric field components will be Ex and Ey, which will be present, but Ez, since it is in the direction of propagation of wave, it will be 0. Okay, so that is transverse electric mode. These are about electric field components, but about magnetic field component there is no such restriction. So Hx, Hy will be also there, but apart from that Hz will be also there. So Hz is not 0 for TE mode. TE mode only specifies about electric field components in the direction of wave propagation. So that is TE mode. So in the TM mode, exactly same thing happens, assuming the same scenario. Now Hx and Hy will be transverse to the direction of wave propagation, but Hz, since it is along the direction of wave propagation, it will be 0, and no such restriction on Ez. All three components will be present for electric field component. This is TM mode. Now TM mode, TEM mode is not supported by waveguide, but in TEM mode all the components will be present, that is longitudinal as well as transverse. Longitudinal means along the direction of wave propagation. So let's not discuss TEM. So let's begin with the analysis of TE mode for rectangular waveguide. So TE waveguide modes are characterized by the fields with Ez equal to 0. So if you understood what is modes, then you might have noticed the only difference is that Ez is equal to 0 for TE modes, but Hz is not equal to 0, and it should satisfy the wave equation of Helmholtz equation. The Helmholtz equation is given by del square plus k square into h is equal to 0. Okay, now del square is nothing but partial differentiation with respect to x, y and z direction. Here you will not see a z component over here. Why? You have to see the explanation of general solutions of TE mode. In that you will get to know that. So Kc is a wave number, that is cutoff wave number. What is cutoff wave number? That we will see also later on. So combining z component and that this k square, which is generally a wave number, so z component dou 2 upon dou z square and k square, these are combined to produce kc square. Okay, so that's why it is defined as kc is equal to square root of k square minus b square here. Okay, with hz is given as hz of x and y, because z is not considered over here with respect to direction of wave propagation, into e raised to minus j beta z. Okay, so this is equation of hz for TE mode, because hz is not 0 in case of TE mode. So to find values of this hz, we will use method of separation of variables from partial differentiation, which allows us to separate x and y components, and substituting this particular method into our first equation, this one, we will get this particular equation: 1 upon x d2x upon dx square plus 1 upon y d2y upon dy square plus constant, that is kc square, is equal to 0. So this is substituting this one into this one. Okay, so that we can find out. Now here you can see x component is separate, y component is separate, and constant is separate. So let's see how it turns out to be. So by usual method, each term must be equal to some constant. So we define a separate constant. That means we divide kc into x and y components of kx and ky, and assign x component to d2x upon dx square and y component to d2y upon dy square. So if we combine this kx and ky, we will get kc square, that is kx square plus ky square is equal to kc square. So by combining all these things, we can find the general solution of hz by this equation in terms of cos and sine, because we have e raised to minus j beta z also. So it is imperative that we should use cos and sine. So it is represented by a cos a kx plus b sin kxx into c cos kyy plus d sin kyy. Okay, so it completes all the x and y components of the magnetic field. Z component we are trying to calculate. Okay, so let's see further. To evaluate these constants, we must apply the boundary conditions on the electric field components tangential to the waveguide walls. Okay, so what are the boundary conditions? First of all, let's see. The boundaries of this waveguide are top wall, bottom wall, left wall, and right wall, or right wall and left wall. So what are the coordinates of these walls? Okay, first boundary condition. Now Ex should be 0 for all x going from 0 to a when y is equal to 0. Okay, that means when y is equal to 0 means on this particular x-axis, value of x is changing from 0 to a. You can see that. So Ex will be 0 in that case. Okay, that is waves along the bottom wall of the waveguide. Similar thing will happen for the top wall of the waveguide. Now here y is equal to b, that is second boundary condition, for x goes from 0 to a. Okay, in both these cases Ex will be 0. Okay, similarly Ey will be 0 for left and right wall. Okay, so that is third and fourth boundary condition. Ey is equal to 0 for x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0 means along y axis. So when we are electric field components is along y axis, obviously x will be 0 and y will go from 0 to b. For the right wall, the equation is changing. For x is equal to a, that is the coordinate, and y goes from 0 to b. So that is fourth boundary condition. So applying these boundary conditions on our equation, let's see how we are applying it. So Ex is a 0 at y, 0 and b. That means if we can consider it again, this direction is x direction. Ex will be 0 whenever y is either equal to 0 or equal to b, that is top and bottom wall. Similarly Ey will be 0 at x is equal to 0, that is left hand side wall, and x is equal to a, that is right hand side over. So that is our boundary condition. These are our boundaries. Okay, so these are the applying of a boundary conditions. So now using the Maxwell equation, we can find out Ex and Ey from Hz. Hz we are trying to find out, and just found out the general equation here. This is the general equation of Hz. From this we need to find out transverse electric components, that is Ex and Ey. So how that can be found? Now in the Maxwell equation, you recall the Maxwell equation, you will find del cross E is equal to minus j omega mu H. Del cross E is equal to minus j omega mu H. Using this equation, we can find out Ex component and Ey component. Okay, so using that, general solution can be found out like this. Now dou Hz upon dou y with Ex component is with respect to y axis and Ey component is with respect to x axis. So let's see. So using this equation, we can, that is our general solution for Hz, and Maxwell equation, we can find out actual value of Ex and Ey, which turns out to be combination of these two, that is this one. Okay, so if you see general solution, this one, now here we are differentiating this Hz with respect to y for Ex component. So for with differentiation with respect to y, this term will not be differentiated and this term will be differentiated. Okay, now cos differentiation is minus sine and sine's differentiation is cos. So that's what you will see in the equation for Ex. See, a cos bx, that remains as the same. Cos differentiation is minus, sine is applied here, sine's differentiation is applied here. Similarly, you can find out Ey by differentiating Hz with respect to x. Here this term remains same and this term is differentiated. Okay, so this is how these two equations are calculated. Now if you compare this with our boundary conditions, then we can see that for y is equal to 0 and b, this term becomes 0. Okay, and ky, which is remaining over here, will be equal to n pi by b for different values of integer value of n. Now how this is identified? Let's consider again x and y axis. Now if we combine this one, this is theta, cos component is along the y axis. So for y is equal to 0, this cos component, this is the cos component, this will be also always equal to 0, and sine component will be present. And if we consider second equation, that is Ey, this cos component will be 0 and sine component will be this one, which will be present. Okay, so that is how d and b are found out to be 0 and value of ky and kx are found out to be integer multiple of pi. Okay, limited by this coordinates b and a. So final solution for Hz after combining all this, so you have to remove this component and this component. Okay, for Ex and Ey, then final equation can be found from general equation and applying these boundary conditions. Amn cos of m pi x by a into cos of n pi y by b into e raised to minus j beta z. Amn is a combination of amplitude constants a and c. Cos m pi x by a is found out from original equation. So let's see again. So how we have found out. Okay, here this term turns out to be 0 and this term turns out to be 0. So what remains is two cos terms. along with A and C. A and C are combined to give you AMN for different modes of different values of M and N, and cost terms are kept as it is. Kx is replaced by M pi x by A, and ky is n pi y by b. Okay, and you do that and multiply it by e raised to minus j beta z, which is a general procedure for Maxwell's equation. So by that you will get this particular answer of Hz. Now this is the final solution for Hz. From this we can find out Ex, Ey, Hx, Xy. Okay, so if we do that, the transverse field components of TE mode can be found using field components TE wave in the equation 12. So we know that del cross E is del cross E is j omega mu h. So use that to find out Ex and Ey, and curl of H is equal to j beta epsilon E. Use that Maxwell equation to find out Hx and Hy. Okay, so it's a simple process of finding the x and y components. So key is to find the value of Hz so that you can find out these x and y component, because these are transverse components of the traveling electromagnetic wave in case of TE mode. Okay, apart from that, there are several other parameters that we can calculate from this equation. First of all, cutoff frequency. So as we know, all the waves cannot pass through waveguides. Beyond certain frequency or below certain frequency, certain waves cannot propagate through waveguide. Such certain frequency is known as cutoff frequency. In other words, the wavelengths greater than lambda c or frequency less than fc are attenuated, so they cannot pass through the waveguide, or less than lambda c and greater than fc are allowed to propagate inside the waveguide. So cutoff frequency is important for waveguide. Then guided wavelength, it is the distance traveled by the wave in order to go the phase shift of 2 pi radians. Okay, so 2 pi radians means 360 degree. So sorry, guided wavelengths tells us about total phase shift of 2 pi radians, how much distance it covers for traveling that way. Then phase velocity. So phase velocity is calculated when guided wavelength is greater than the free space wavelength. Okay, so that gives you the phase difference and gives you the phase velocity of the wave. And the group velocity is the rate at which wave propagates through the waveguide. Okay, so what is the speed of the, or speed will be general term, what is the rate of traveling of that particular wave through the waveguide, that is given as a group velocity. Then in each mode, whether TE or TM, there will be dominant modes and degenerate modes. Dominant modes will be those modes for which cutoff wavelength assumes a maximum value. Now cutoff wavelength assumes maximum value means minimum value for the frequency of the cutoff frequency of the waveguide. So fc should be minimum, and lambda c should be maximum. In that case it will be called as a dominant mode. Okay, so why fc should be minimum? So that it allows maximum number of frequency to pass through the waveguide. Then there will be degenerate modes, which are nothing but number of modes having the same cutoff frequency. So several modes will have same cutoff frequency, those will be called as degenerate modes. All the modes which are not having values of m and n as 0 will be always degenerate modes. Then there is another parameter called as a wave impedance. In the difference between transmission line and waveguide, we have seen what is characteristic impedance and wave impedance. In this waveguides we have wave impedance, which is nothing but ratio of strengths of transverse magnetic and electric fields. So if wave is traveling along z direction, then wave impedance will be Ex upon Hy. Okay. If wave is traveling along y direction, it will be Ex upon Hz. Like that. That will be wave impedance. And finally, intrinsic impedance. So inside of the waveguide there may be different materials, like free space may be there or some other dielectric may be there. So it will have certain impedance that is called as intrinsic impedance, which is calculated by general formula square root of mu upon epsilon. Okay. Now cutoff wave number, we have seen one term. So what is cutoff wave number? Wave number is number of waves that constitutes 1 unit length of wavelength. Okay, the distance traveled to constitute 1 unit length of wavelength is called as a wave number. It is generally denoted by Kc. So that is cutoff wave number or wave number. For cutoff frequency it is known as cutoff wave number. So these different components can be summarized directly by this formula. Propagation constant beta, it is differentiation between wave number and cutoff wave number. So actual wave number of a traveling wave is k, cutoff wave number is a kc. So difference between them, square of a difference between them, difference of square of those and taken a square root of that gives you the propagation constant. We know that kc is a kx square plus ky square, so that is substituted in this one and you can calculate propagation constant. Kc is given as a cutoff wave number, that is always less than k, so it is given by this formula. And then for each mode there will be a cutoff frequency which will be given by kc upon 2 pi square root of mu epsilon. Substituting value of kc, you will find out cutoff frequency. Okay, so for waveguide, if we try to find out what will be the cutoff frequency, we know that a is always greater than b. Okay, so if we substitute m is equal to 1 and n is equal to 0, we will know that it is TE10 mode, that is m is equal to 1 and n is equal to 0. Substitute that in this equation, so this term will vanish and your cutoff frequency will be 1 upon 2a into square root of mu epsilon. That is cutoff frequency for TE10 mode, and which is a dominant mode in the waveguide, TE mode waveguide. Okay, so like this we can find out different values. So this is the table which gives you the values of different parameters for TE and TM mode. Wave number is given as omega into square root of mu into epsilon. Kc is given by kx square plus ky square, square root of kx square plus square. Propagation constant, then cutoff wave number, then this is guided wavelength which is given by general formula 2 pi by beta, that is propagation constant. Phase velocity omega upon beta. Attenuation is given by k square tan delta upon 2 beta. Attenuation, then Ez component in TE mode it will be 0, in TM mode Hz component will be 0. Then Ex, Ey and Hx, Hy. How to calculate this? Using Maxwell's equation as well as boundary conditions and Helmholtz equation. We have seen that for TE mode. On the similar pattern you can find out for TM mode. Okay, and then wave impedance, that is Z, can be calculated using this formula k eta, that is the intrinsic impedance divided by propagation constant, and for TM mode that will be reverse. Beta will be in the numerator and k will be in the denominator. So we have seen in this video how to find out these 4 components in case of TE mode. Now next job is to find out these components for TM mode along the same analysis path. Okay, so that you can do that on your own in the next session we will see about circular waveguides and their mode analysis. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.